The stakes couldn't be higher as a trio of art thieves disrupt the poker night of a dying billionaire. Secrets will be revealed, loyalties will be tested, and absolutely nothing will happen for the first 45 minutes of this movie. We watched Poker Face starring Russell Crowe today on Nothing Movies.
Yesterday,
yes,
I was at home. I was waiting for my friend to come over. My friend and podcast co-host Jameson Rafter.
Okay.
I was waiting for him to come
Sounds
by.
familiar.
So we could watch. This is a story. It's a story. I'm telling a story, and you know the story because you were there.
Is it that goddamn?
No, hold on. It's a funny story. It's a funny story. It's a funny way to start the episode. So I'm waiting for Jameson to come over, and
check out this idiot.
As I am killing time before my dear friend Jameson Rafter comes over.
Make sure you get that name out there just so we know who it is.
Jameson Rafter. What is your middle name? I feel like you've mentioned it before. It's like a cool middle name, right?
It's Davin, like Gavin, but with a
Davin
with D. Yeah.
Oh, that's like a British lad name. Davin. Oi, Davin.
It's Irish. I think it means
that would make more sense.
I think it means Gaelic warrior. Yeah. Which is a lot cooler than what Jameson means, which literally means son of James.
That's awesome.
My dad's name is Greg.
Incidentally, Casimir means warrior for peace. So we are both warriors.
Yeah, I suppose
to a
so.
certain degree. Anyway, this warrior was waiting for the other warrior to come over, and as I was killing time,
the ultimate warrior to show
I
up.
was waiting for the ultimate warrior. I was watching trailers on Apple TV, and I was watching trailers from the filmography of one Russell Crowe to refamiliarize myself with the man's filmography and to get myself in the mood for the movie that we were going to watch and are discussing on this episode of this podcast, his most recent movie. And I was watching a trailer for his 1999 hockey comedy Mystery Alaska, the movie that came out after his breakout role in LA Confidential. And as I was watching that trailer, Jameson walked in, so I pressed pause and I welcomed my friend to my boudoir. Which is how I call my apartment to everyone, to all of my straight friends. Step into my boudoir.
Yeah, just to kind of gauge to see how comfortable they are.
Exactly. Yes, I want to see how I want to make everyone like slightly uncomfortable before they come into my house.
Let's see who's a true homophobe and who isn't.
Indeed. And I'm getting off of that. That's a tangent within a tangent. And so Jameson takes a look at the still image on my television, and he turns to me and he says, "Oh, are you watching Miracle?" Of course, referring to the 2003 movie starring Kurt Russell that is also about hockey. Now, dear listener, this is a perfectly reasonable assumption. I'm sure you are saying over there, you are watching a still image from one hockey movie and you confuse it for another hockey movie. Anyone would do that. That's perfectly acceptable. The funny part of the story is that the still image that the trailer was frozen on when Jameson looked at the TV was the part of the trailer where the words Mystery Alaska showed up in big bold. The one part of the trailer.
Where the title is
the
showed,
only part of the trailer that you could conceivably not confuse for any other movie.
I thought it would be like one of those establishing shot scenes in movies where they give you like the town name and the country or whatever.
Sure.
You know, but I haven't seen Mystery Alaska.
I have not either.
I can't imagine many of our listeners remember the movie Mystery Alaska.
Well, that's why we're here, to remind people of this fact. It was just really funny. Yeah. I don't mean to make fun of it.
Need an opportunity to dunk on me. I get it.
It was really fun. It was like someone was watching like the opening to Cheers, and then you walked in the room and said, "Oh, I love Law and Order." Sweet. I have also not seen Mystery Alaska, but after watching that trailer,
you've seen more than I have.
I really do have to see it because of one scene that I saw in the trailer that I desperately need more context for. Is a scene involving the late great Burt Reynolds and also the late great Maury Chaykin. I don't know if you're familiar with Maury Chaykin. He was a rather corpulent Canadian character actor.
I probably would recognize him.
Probably.
Yeah,
was
he like the poor man's John Candy?
I don't know. Do you remember Dances with Wolves? He's got like a great scene in that where he's like all sweaty and everything. He sends Kevin Costner off and then he shoots himself in the head. Anyway,
great scene.
It's this scene. It's a great scene. It's a scene between Burt Reynolds and Maury Chaykin. Burt Reynolds is playing some sort of judge, and he's very like no nonsense in my courtroom. I won't hear any more talk about this hockey. Let's not bring up hockey ever anymore for the rest of the day. Remember what happened last time. And Maury Chaykin's response to Burt Reynolds saying this is, "Forgive me, Your Honor, I'm fat." I desperately need to know more of the context for this. I must know how the rest of that scene plays out.
That's how the scene ends.
My hope is that there is no context and it's
Yeah.
just presented without comment.
Yeah. That's just the non sequitur that starts the scene.
I just did really like that a
Yeah.
lot, and so
And he says that line, and then
Yeah.
then Russell Crowe busts down the door and says like, "Stop everything, Judge. We have new evidence," or whatever.
exactly,
Whatever the hell
hockey
goes
is
on.
back,
Yeah.
indeed.
Mhm.
And yes, and if you're feeling a little salty for me dunking on you, Jameson, I just wanted to say, forgive me, I'm fat. And speaking of movies that star Russell Crowe, and speaking of movies in
Yeah.
general, welcome back,
Yeah.
however you wish to self-identify, to Nothing Movies.
Longest preamble ever.
Indeed. Well, don't challenge me.
Oh,
Don't test me.
No. What have
No,
I
we
done?
must have done longer than
Yeah.
that.
Set like beat your own personal best record. Please
Absolutely.
Don't do that.
It's the podcast where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's the show where we go through an actor's filmography and we choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Kaz Lesgard.
And I'm a big idiot because I haven't seen Mystery Alaska.
And today, it's not that you haven't seen Mystery Alaska.
That I didn't recognize.
It's that the title of the movie
All right.
was the only
I'm Jameson.
Oh my god. Jameson, Celtic Warrior, Rafter. And today we are wrapping up our trilogy on the Nothing Movies of 2022 with the film Poker Face, starring Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Directed by Russell Crowe. With a screenplay by Russell Crowe. However, the original story / original screenplay is credited to another dude. So if I had to make an assumption, I would guess Russell Crowe took someone else's screenplay, rewrote it, and then added in about 10 pages of just fine art trivia.
Yeah.
This movie becomes very art heavy in its third act. Suddenly.
It starts out very navel gazing, and then like near the end, you just go through this like amazing art history lesson from Australian artists, and then peppered through it is a plot of like a thriller. A dramatic thriller.
I guess you could call this both a drama and a thriller.
It's a dramatic snoozer.
With a big quote marks around both of those descriptors. Yes, Poker Face, a movie in which poker is played for what, 5 minutes?
If that.
There is one hand of Texas Hold'em is played in this movie called Poker Face, and it results in a split pot.
Yeah. They go all in on the first hand.
If you're really excited to see an ensemble cast with a bunch of guys in a thriller and a poker game, you're gonna get like a little taste of that, and a moose-boosh of that.
They talk up the poker skills of every individual player and how like their style of playing the game
and then we
influenced their
never
entire
see
lives.
any of that
And-
shit.
yeah.
Oh man.
You know, it's so funny because there's like not a hell of a lot that goes in this movie, but there's a shit ton to talk about.
There really is a lot to talk about. There's a lot for us to talk about what doesn't happen in this movie.
Yeah.
And what we, I think, anticipated was going to happen in this movie, and then just like all the nothing that does end up in fact happening. But yes, I mean, Russell Crowe. What can we say about him?
He's in a lot of my favorite movies. He knows how to pick the roles.
Yeah?
like
List them off.
Like Gladiator, Master and Commander, L.A. Confidential, A Beautiful Mind. Like
I gotta rewatch. I gotta rewatch a lot of those. I've been meaning to rewatch Master and Commander. That is a movie I have not seen since it came out in theaters, and every time I see like a still image from that, I'm all like, I bet that's fucking great.
It is.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine like it holds up incredibly well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of buzz around like, oh, this deserves a continuation. This deserves a sequel.
Well, it's based on a whole series of books, so like conceivably they could. I think the plan was to make like a whole bunch of them or whatever. And then I think Russell Crowe just got busy with other projects
and controversies,
and now he's too fat.
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, they could conceivably maybe make like a Master and Commander 2, but I feel like maybe like the audience for that
the window has closed.
Is
he
maybe
can't
not
fit through
around,
that window anymore.
which is weird because that was a movie nominated for Best Picture, but it was nominated for Best Picture in a year where it was never going to win because it was up against Return of the King. So it was just kind of all like, good for you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Sorry you had to like.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Crowe, what can you say about him? He's Australian. He loves a good fight, doesn't he?
I was gonna wait to see how long we took to bring that up.
Although maybe, as this movie, Poker Face, implies, we may be seeing a softer, gentler Russell Crowe, because this movie does have a lot to say about believing in your fellow man and like seeing the good in people and like you know, it's
Written by Russell Crowe, directed by Russell Crowe.
yeah, but a Russell Crowe who's gone through some shit.
From every interview I've seen of him, he apologizes for his behavior. He recognizes that he has some demons, and I believe he has taken a lot of steps to rehabilitate himself on that.
Absolutely.
It's just, the damage had already been done at that point. And also, his star, faded by the time that those came out, and I don't think he ever really recovered from those assaults.
Well,
it's hard to say.
I mean,
he seems like a likable guy who is ashamed of what he'd done. He's not making many excuses for it, and he's moved on from it, and he's not that person anymore.
I don't think the controversies surrounding Russell Crowe are what necessarily killed his career. I think it was just
if it was killed at all.
It's definitely not in a great place currently right now, as evidenced by the fact that I believe Poker Face had maybe a 2-week run in limited cinemas in the United States before being dumped on streaming.
Yeah.
Not great for a former Best Actor winner.
Who was one time the toast of Hollywood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just feel like the movies that he came out with just got considerably worse. And, it's what I alluded to earlier. He got very big. He's quite a roly-poly boy now, and sometimes it works in his fucking favor. Speaking of Russell Crowe movies, did you get around to seeing Unleashed?
No.
Which came out in the pandemic. It's him as an angry motorist, and it's him just tormenting this one woman who honks at him and everything.
I saw the brief snippet of that when I was just browsing through Netflix, and they played the trailer, and it's just him stewing in a car, just waiting for a woman to get out of a convenience store.
Full on is the Kool-Aid Man in that movie, because Russell Crowe is walking through walls in that movie. I'm not even fucking joking. Someone's running away from Russell Crowe. They lock a door on him. It's all what's this, a wall? And he just fucking crashes through it.
He loves a good fight.
It's just that. He's literally like a bulldozer now.
Yeah.
And it works in his, it's the same thing as you see Vince Vaughn in an action movie. You're all Vince Vaughn is a tall, scary dude. It can work in Russell Crowe's favor.
Yeah.
His girth
using
currently
the physicality
now. Yeah,
that way,
absolutely. Yeah. But let's take a quick little peek.
Sure.
His filmography is too big, I think, for us to go through the entirety of it now. But at the very least, let's look. So I'm not going to go through his early stuff, because his early stuff, unsurprisingly, is all Australian stuff. It's Australian TV shows. It's Australian independent movies that, unless you're an Australian person or a fan of Australian cinema, you won't be familiar with any of these.
Yeah.
His big American breakout is probably in 1995, The Quick and the Dead, a movie we talked about before.
Right.
That was a really big get for him. He wasn't recognized in any big American movie at that time. Sharon Stone, the star and the producer of that movie, wanted Russell Crowe. She said, if you're not casting Russell Crowe, I'm pulling out of this movie. I'm not going to be in it. So,
really? Wow.
He kind of has Sharon Stone to thank for his career in Hollywood, because he was this very untested actor who inexplicably got third billed in this big Sam Raimi directed Western.
Yeah.
He's excellent in it. Everyone's
was that the introducing Russell Crowe credit?
No,
okay.
He wasn't. He had been in too much stuff by that point. He'd been in too many.
Right, but sort of introducing him to North American audience.
His big Australian movie before that I think got a little more traction in North America after he started getting known for a few more American roles. He was in the 1992 film Romper Stomper, where I believe he plays a skinhead or a neo-Nazi or whatnot, and it's an early thing was all Russell Crowe is hard-boiled and violent, and you don't want to fuck with this guy.
Yeah.
But, he did The Quick and the Dead. Same year he does that. I have to see this movie eventually. He is the computerized villain, Sid 6.7, in the Denzel Washington film Virtuosity.
Oh, hell yeah.
A movie I have never seen, but, I bet I would probably enjoy that. Every clip I've seen of him, he looks like he's having a great old time being this crazy fucking computer program. And then, of course, his big breakout, as I mentioned, was LA Confidential.
Yeah, great movie.
Both him and Guy Pearce were these two Australian dudes that were known for smaller projects, and they both kind of got handpicked in these plum roles for that movie, and the movie basically made both of their careers.
Yeah.
God, LA what a perfect movie.
Yeah.
What just an absolute
there aren't
fantastic.
enough great detective stories like that anymore, I'd say.
Yeah, not nearly enough. And when
and of course, like, his role in that movie was the unhinged, super violent cops who just got pissed off whenever he saw any kind of woman beater, and he would just lose his shit.
He got a little pigeonholed for a while there.
Yeah.
Fair to say.
Pigeonholed as the guy who fights. Hence the South Park episode spoofing him.
Oh, man. I really am trying to unlearn a lot of, like, the jokes that South Park has taught me about certain celebrities, because I don't feel a lot of them are fitting all that much anymore. That's a good
that
one,
episode
though. That's
still,
really fun. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, my Tugger! Come on, we're going around the world!
Oh my God, it's Russell Crowe! Oh my God, it's Russell Crowe! Won't you blow out your ass, you testicle?
1999, a couple of years after LA Confidential, he gets his first Oscar nomination for the film The Insider. I don't know if you ever saw that. That's a great movie. It's very long.
Fuck, we saw that in high school social studies class.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's a social study.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a Michael Mann movies alongside Al Pacino, and he gained a bunch of weight for that, and that was the first time everyone was all like, oh, Russell Crowe's like a method actor. Look at that. He got all pudgy for a role. Can you imagine?
A trend he's still continuing to this day.
He's going super method, is what he is. And the very next year, he scoops up that Best Actor trophy for Gladiator.
Yeah.
Fuck. I feel like maybe the jury's still out on whether or not Russell Crowe deserved to win the Oscar for that role. I mean, like, he's good as the Gladiator, but I don't know how much of a heavy acting role that is in comparison to The Insider or even A Beautiful Mind, which is the next year, which, spoiler, is a movie I do not like. But
I mean, I think just the case with Gladiator was that at the time it was like a very, technically astounding movie, just filling the Colosseum, recreating the Roman Colosseum.
Yes.
With like the digital effects that pretty groundbreaking at the time, doing massive crowd shots.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And whatever, like I think Gladiator was probably in my mind the last great standalone epic. like there's up until like a couple of weeks ago when they announced that they were going to make a Gladiator 2, I was like, oh great, like finally a really good, solid epic story that's not a part of a franchise, or it's going to be lost to like thousands of sequels. It can stand alone on its time as a great thing to prop up.
I think if you take like a hard look at stuff like that, you can find epics. I mean, like the one that just came out last year, I feel like it's the closest I've seen to like a Gladiator movie in a really long time is The Woman King. I feel like that's a really fantastic epic that's not really... I mean, it's based on history, but so is Gladiator.
Yeah, to a degree.
To a degree. I mean, it does feature like an actual emperor who ruled, who was not murdered in the Colosseum by a gladiator named Maximus, but who cares?
Yeah, but maybe I'm just saying, like, in terms of like a blockbuster that's not exactly going for the lowest common denominator and will win a lot of awards.
Yes.
Yeah, Gladiator was that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the very next year, he had like 3 big Oscar movies back to back to back, because the very next year is A Beautiful Mind. In my opinion, one of the worst movies to win Best Picture.
I mean, I like it for kind of what it is. I like movies that have twists and turns like that, especially with like a character who is, losing their sanity. I just think that scene where his wife, I forget who plays his wife.
Jennifer
Connelly, yeah. She walks in on him like almost drowning their child, because he mistakes it for
Paul Bettany or someone,
or like he's
Ed Harris in a hat.
He's like soaking or defrosting a chicken or whatever, but he doesn't realize he's actually drowning his baby.
It's horrifying, but when you describe it, it's kind of funny.
I mean, that was way too real looking, and like I was watching that movie with my mom, and she had to leave the room.
Right.
Yeah, that's just a horrific image.
So after A Beautiful Mind. Of course, in between Gladiator and A Beautiful Mind, he also does the film Proof of Life, which we talked about when we covered Meg Ryan. That is the movie where Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe had a bit of an affair, and it kind of ruined Meg Ryan's career, and then Russell Crowe continued to go on and have movies. But Proof of Life is a real Russell Crowe nothing movie. No one the only thing people remember about Proof of Life is the whole Meg Ryan thing. After Beautiful Mind, he keeps trying to do the awards buzzy movies and everything like that. 2003, he's got Master and Commander, which is like a big hit, but he doesn't get nominated for that. The year after that, he does Cinderella Man, back with Ron Howard, again for like another inspirational biopic or whatever.
I haven't seen it, but I hear it's okay.
It's totally fine.
Okay.
It's a totally serviceable... That's the thing about Ron Howard. The majority of his movies are fine. They are like perfectly serviceable little dramas. Paul Giamatti's really good in that movie. Again, it's a Russell Crowe boxing drama. It's something that you would could conceivably buy him as.
Sure, yeah.
2006, he fighting around the world. He's back with Ridley Scott for the first of many times. This is another nothing movie that people only tend to remember these days as a punchline. A Good Year.
A Good Year.
In which, him and Ridley Scott follow up their action gladiator epic with a movie where Russell Crowe buys a vineyard and spends a lot of time thinking about wine.
Oh.
And no one remembers this movie.
Was it?
It was like fully forgotten. Albert Finney is in it.
Did that come out?
Freddie Highmore, Marion Cotillard.
Was Sideways out around the same time? Like, was
I
this
think
a-
Sideways
was this
was
an
like a
Armageddon Deep Impact situation?
Sideways was, I think, like a year or two earlier than that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was trying to coast off of the vino boom
Gotcha,
that Hollywood was going through. 2007. Okay, here's two awesome movies that we can throw into the category of great Russell Crowe movies. 2007, 3:10 to Yuma.
Oh yeah.
Awesome Western. James
Yep.
Mangold, excellent in that.
Christian Bale, very good in that.
2007, same year, American Gangster, which is more of a Denzel movie.
Sure, yeah.
But, Russell Crowe is second build. It's hard to bring that to memory, what Russell Crowe does in that movie, because all of the cool stuff in that movie is Denzel.
Yeah, the
but
crime boss and everything.
It's funny that that's the second time they were together, and the first time was Virtuosity. 2008, another Ridley Scott movie, another kind of nothing movie, Body of Lies, which is him and Leonardo DiCaprio doing spy shit? I don't know.
Don't even remember that.
It's like a Jason Bourne thing. I have no
Okay.
idea. He does a lot of stuff with Ridley Scott. Outside of Gladiator, it's kind of like the only good movie he does. 2009, he's in State of Play, which is like a political thriller with Ben Affleck, Rachel McAdams, Helen Mirren. No one remembers that.
Nope.
I feel like maybe that's the start of things going down from here. 2010, again with Ridley Scott, he does Robin Hood.
Oh no.
Which is a fascinating disaster in the sense that it's a boring epic. Talk about like a failed epic. Like that's like them trying to recapture that gladiator magic and it just not working. Did you hear the story about Ridley Scott's Robin Hood movie?
No.
It originally had life. When they were trying to get it produced, it was originally a screenplay called Nottingham.
Okay.
And it
was about the sheriff of
It was
Nottingham.
about the sheriff's perspective, and it was, like that whole, like, fucking Maleficent thing. It's all like, you think you know the sheriff of Nottingham, but not quite. What if Robin Hood was actually the villain, and it was sort of like a twist on the story and everything?
Yeah.
And the twist that they were going to do with it is that Russell Crowe was going to play both the sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood. It was going to be like a dual role, and it was going to be like this really interesting sort of like deconstructionist take on the Robin Hood myth.
Like the sheriff of Nottingham was Robin Hood, or
maybe
or
that,
they were just like two identical,
or they were like two
Austin
identical,
Powers and Dr. Evil,
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know because that movie never got made because
Right.
somewhere along the production line they said, what if instead of doing that, we just made a boring Robin Hood movie? And all the producers were all like, yes, do that. But Robin Hood, no one remembers that. The Next 3 Days, that's another movie that I feel like most people have forgotten.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I'm going to omit a couple of these because I want to talk about these later in different contexts. Actually, I think I've pinpointed where it all started going wrong for Russell Crowe. 2012, Les Miserables.
Oh yeah.
I feel
yeah.
like that was kind of the beginning of the end of Russell Crowe, the A-plus lister.
Yeah.
He's still an A-lister, but he's maybe not on like the degree that he was in his Gladiator
I
days.
get the appeal of like, let's get a lot of A-listers who can sing in our musical.
And also Russell Crowe.
Well, I mean, he does have a band.
He does have a band, 30-odd Foots of Grunt, I believe is what it's called.
What a name. And like maybe with a title like that, his voice suits the band. I don't know. I haven't listened to any of it.
Look, the only thing is, this is a somewhat controversial opinion that I have amongst all my musical theater friends. I quite like the movie Les Miserables. Most people in the industry think it's a hot steaming pile of garbage. The thing is that everyone who was cast in that movie has a musical theater voice and a musical theater background.
Right.
Russell Crowe is like a rock star.
Yeah.
So he's
to an extent.
to a degree, but
Yeah.
he sings like a rock star does, which is what. So he's not bad. Like he's never off key in the Les Mis movie. He just has a completely different singing style from everyone else in that movie, and that's why that's distracting.
It takes people out of it.
It
yeah.
does, and
yeah.
it's not a good performance. He's not matching anyone else's energy, but I think that's where things start going downhill. 2013, another nothing movie, Broken City, which is him and Mark Wahlberg, where I think he plays a crooked mayor.
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg's trying to break him down. Never seen him. That's a real Netflix Sunday afternoon movie where you just put it on and it goes in one ear, out the other ear.
Yeah, you stop it halfway through thinking you'll pick it up the next day, and you never do.
2013, he's also Superman's father in Man of Steel.
Yeah, Jor-El. Enlightened scientist who correctly predicted the destruction of the planet. Who do we cast as this high-minded, brilliant person? Russell Crowe, because he needs to do some fighting too.
Well, listen, I think that makes sense casting when you consider the last person to play Jor-El was Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Like, you need an actor of that size and that, forgive the pun, weight to play that role. I feel like 2013 Russell Crowe is an excellent substitute for Marlon Brando when he made this first Superman movie.
Absolutely. And like the only other thing I'll say to that is, as much as I'm, scientist who's a brawler, no, you kind of need to show that Superman comes from good stock, that he can like hold his own in a fight.
I don't think Russell Crowe's doing much fisticuffs in that movie. He does a lot of running around. He flies on a dragon at one point.
Him and Zod come to blows.
Do they?
Yeah.
I think, doesn't Zod just stab him and that's it?
Yeah, they have a tussle.
They have a little tussle.
He does a lot more action-y stuff than Marlon Brando ever did in that Richard Donner Superman.
Well,
Marlon Brando like practically didn't even rehearse his lines.
Marlon Brando got paid like $1,000 to like take a step in that movie. Like it's all like, if you want me to move, that's going to be extra. 2014, he's the villain in the critically derided, laughable, terrible movie that I still need to see because apparently it is one of those you got to see it to believe it things. Winter's Tale. Do you remember this with Colin Farrell? He plays like a time traveling. It's like a time travel magic horse demon type romance thing that like.
Okay.
Satan is played by Will Smith.
What?
This is like a wild movie. It like you list out all the crazy things about Winter's Tale, but then you actually sit down to watch it, and it's way too long. It's not
bit
as
of a
fun
disappointment.
as it should
Okay.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It made the rounds in all the bad movie podcasts after it came out, and most people seem to say it's funny, but boy, is it a chore to sit through.
Okay.
He's also Noah in Darren Aronofsky's Noah, a very weird movie that I was not expecting to have rock monsters voiced by Nick Nolte, but that indeed is a thing that happens in the movie Noah. And then a bunch more nothing movies. 2016, I feel like his last great movie.
The Nice Guys?
The Nice Guys.
Yeah,
Shane Black's The Nice Guys.
That's such I love those Shane Black idiot buddy.
I mean, that's also the
detectives,
last good
costume-
Shane Black movie. But,
Sure, yeah.
But
yeah, Ryan Gosling is fucking hilarious in that.
I mean,
he's paired up greatly with Russell Crowe.
Crowe is great in that, but like that movie is very much stolen by Ryan Gosling. But
I heard that was originally supposed to be a pilot for a TV show.
I believe it.
I would love a TV show.
Bring it
about
back.
That. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you could get Gosling, but like Crowe is about ready for network TV.
Sure.
Yeah, his career's at that point.
Or they could just do like a mini series on HBO. Doesn't have to devote too much of his time.
And then 2017, not so great. He's of course Dr. Henry Jekyll in The Mummy.
Oof.
Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
The Mummy, yeah.
He's a preacher who's the father of a gay son in the very boring movie Boy Erased. About not concentration camps, gay
Conversion camps?
Conversion camps. Thank you, God. Take away my queer card. Oh my God. and then he also did 7 episodes of the Roger Ailes miniseries The Loudest Voice.
Oh, okay.
Where he was playing an even bigger, fatter piece of crap. Not that it also calls a piece of crap, but that was those competing Roger Ailes projects, because there was that, and then there was also the film Bombshell, where he was played by John Lithgow in a fat suit.
Did Roger Ailes die around the time?
I believe he died right before those came out.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Good riddance. Terrible human being. And then 2020 Unhinged, which was
Where's
marketed
the Kool-Aid Man?
which was marketed as one of the first movies mid-COVID pandemic to be released back in theaters.
Okay.
So it made a ton of money at the box office, but only because literally nothing else was playing. It was that and Tenet on like its 10th week.
Right.
And then he popped up last year in the terrible Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, he wasn't very good in that.
He actually had a really busy 2022. He was in Thor: Love and Thunder. He is in the Apple Plus movie The Greatest Beer Run Ever.
Oh, I've been meaning to see that. That's about the guy who goes to Vietnam just to
give beer to his buddies.
Give beer to the soldiers, yeah.
He's in that. He's in a movie that surprised even me. I genuinely didn't even know this existed until I was looking through his filmography the other day. He's in another boxing movie called Prize Fighter: The Life of Jem Belcher. That's a real. I'm telling you right now. I'm looking at the phone, and then and he said,
Jem Belcher sounds like a boss from an Earthworm Jim game.
Jem Belcher, yeah. Gadzooks, Jem Belcher, and Evil Jim together at last.
Just keeps puking up diamonds.
And
You
then
gotta
he's
whip 'em
in Poker Face,
Yeah.
which was a passion project for him that he directed and let's say wrote.
It was he realized it was a passion project when he read somebody else's.
Absolutely,
screenplay.
he read someone else's screenplay. It's all like, this must be mine.
Yeah.
I must take this and make it my own. This is a story that must be told, and must be told with a
Through me.
venerable cadre of some of Australia's finest character actors, most of whom you've never heard of, including the greatest of all Australian character actors, RZA.
Man. We were almost worried that he wasn't going to show up.
We
in the
were a
movie.
little worried that he was literally going to phone in his performance.
Yeah.
At one
point he says like, "Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
got the telelink set up," and I'm like, "Oh no, he's just going to be on a Zoom call while he's playing like the online poker while everyone else is at the table."
This is actually the fourth movie that Russell Crowe and RZA have been in together. I think they're really good buddies.
Yeah.
I think they're just genuinely friends.
Sure, yeah.
Because of course.
Oh yeah, he was in that Iron Hands movie.
Well,
wasn't
that's
he?
the thing,
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
like Russell Crowe is directing a movie, he puts RZA in it,
Mhm.
and then when RZA directed his first movie, The Man with the Iron Fists,
That's the one.
he put Russell Crowe in it. So
Yeah.
he's returning the favor. But RZA, of course, is also in American Gangster, and he's in that Next 3 Days movie. So
Okay.
yeah, they continually work together. So which is the only logical explanation to explain why RZA is here, because otherwise
The only of
there's
the lone American.
there's genuinely no reason for this character or this actor to exist in this movie.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Childhood friends, I have to imagine on like an exchange program.
Well, we'll get it.
Yeah.
There is one line of dialogue to explain why RZA seemingly grew up in Australia, but we'll get into that when we discuss the movie, which we'll do fairly soon. I just wanted to ask before we get into it, what is your relationship with poker? Like, what do you enjoy a game of cards?
I do. It's been a long time since I've actually played poker, but back in like 2008, I was working at this small studio of about maybe 20 people. And when you work in a studio that small, like you're pretty much buddy with everyone at the company, including the CEO. And the CEO would often host these poker parties. And we would just like drive out to where was it, like Coquitlam, and we'll just play like an evening of Texas Hold'em. I remember this. This one game we were at. I should point out that the CEO, who will remain nameless,
Right.
but he's one of the nicest guys.
Bob
in the world.
Iger.
He's one of the nicest guys in the world.
Yeah.
But he's a massive dude. He's like 6'5", like 220 pounds. He's a very intimidating fellow.
He's somewhat of a Russell Crowe of a
Yeah,
man.
exactly. Yeah. So we're all playing poker at his place, and because it's in the hills of Port Moody, Coquitlam, whatever.
Coquitlam.
Yeah, Poco. A bear wanders into his backyard. And of course, us all being like city folk, we're just like, oh shit, like what do we do? Do we call like animal control? Do we call the cops?
Did he get really big?
He got up out of his chair, he grabbed his rum and coke like fucking Julian from Trailer Park Boys, swings open the door, he's like, hey, you get the fuck out of here, you stupid bear, and like chases the bear off, and then he closes the door, he's like, all right, deal me in. And we were just like,
Should have dealt the bear in.
well, he could have just like picked that bear up over his head and throw him off the fence, but
Like he was fucking Zangief.
but like we just thought like what an amazing like power move to show to his employees. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of a fucking bear. You think you can read me?
He leaves the table a little later on and goes to meet the bear around the side of the house, gives him like a wad of cash. It's like, thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Made me look great.
Yeah. But yeah, like my buddies and I, we like playing cards. It's been a long time since we've gotten together to do that. The last time we did any kind of gambling was on my friend Brian's bachelor party.
Mm-hmm.
And we had rented a limousine, and we were just hitting up like different spots. Like we went to an arcade, we went to the horse tracks, then we went to the casino downtown. And I guess it was a blackjack table, and like I guess the guy who was our dealer was like first week on the job, like very green, very nervous, and he busted like 3 times in a row. So everybody won. And imagine that scenario where like you roll in a limousine and you clear out the table in under like 45 minutes and you leave.
I would think gambling is great.
Yeah.
I can see why everyone does this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like we decided we better get out of here before like, the floor boss comes by and invites us over to the high roller table.
That was like my brief dalliance with blackjack when I was in Vegas. I went to one table, I won 4 hands in a row, and I'm all like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
like,
what you do.
I only walked away with like $50, but still, I'm all like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I do not like.
I'm leaving now.
I do not like gambling if it's up to chance.
Yeah. Look, traditional ideas of masculinity when you're a kid, like this idea of what it means to be manly, what like man activities are and everything. It gets like enforced on you when you're young, and then you get like into like your 20s and your 30s, and you realize all that shit's made up. It's all it's all just like one person's interpretation of what it is.
Yeah.
But growing up, there are certain I guess like male coded activities that I feel like a little bit of anxiety behind never being terribly good at. Like I don't follow sports, so I can't talk to other men about sports. I'm terrible at pool, so I don't even try anymore. I can't play darts. Poker is like the one sort of like man-coded thing that I'm like reasonably good at.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the one thing that and much like my blackjack table, I used to play poker with my friends in Calgary all the time. We would have like weekly poker nights where we worked in the service industry where we got like massive tips, so we would always just like gamble our tips away and everything. And much like my blackjack Vegas story, I won one of those games once and then I fully retired.
Yeah.
And if I ever played again, they were for low stakes.
Yeah.
I feel like the last Texas Hold'em game I played was like literally a month before the lockdown happened in Vancouver in like early 2020. And we almost had like a good game going on in my friend's basement that I was all like, more of this.
Yeah.
I'm ready for this. And then everything shut
It's
down.
fun to have a routine.
Pandemic happened.
It's fun to have routines like that with friends. You make it like a bi-weekly thing.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah.
I had
Agreed.
I had no transition for that.
No, a bear didn't interrupt the game and you had to fight it off.
Exit pursued by a bear. Anyway, let's take a break and let's listen to a charity spot. When we come back, we'll get into Russell Crowe's Poker Face.
Stay tuned.
What cards is he holding? We don't know. His expression is blank. His expression is blank throughout a lot of this movie.
Yeah,
so it's like he had a poker face on. All right, we'll see.
The 7.8 magnitude earthquake that affected swaths of Turkey and northern Syria is recognized as the deadliest in the two countries' histories, and has claimed nearly 4,000 lives and reporting over 16,000 injuries. Felt across the region, the quake was massive enough to bring down buildings and has left the resources and rescuers scattered to do what they could to help the victims, many of whom were still trapped beneath rubble days and weeks after the disaster. This comes at a time when Syria, still wrecked from more than 11 years of civil war, has over 4 million people displaced by the conflict living in camps, already dependent on cross-border humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, Turkey's debt crisis, censorship of the press, and democratic backsliding were just many of the struggles now heightened by the quakes. Several countries around the world have already pledged support and offered assistance, and though many international support efforts are stretched thin and underfunded, I'm reminded of the Greek-Turkey earthquake diplomacy established between Turkey and Greece. This was initiated after successive earthquakes hit both countries in 1999. And since then, both countries have pledged to help each other in case of earthquakes, no matter how their geopolitical relations are. In the spirit of looking past policies and embracing our shared humanity, I would like to use today's charity spot to talk about the earthquake in Turkey and Syria appeal through the Canadian Red Cross. The Red Cross Crescent is working to coordinate emergency relief efforts and to get help to those impacted by the earthquakes as quickly as possible. Money raised will enable the Red Cross Red Crescent to provide immediate relief and recovery, and to support resiliency activities in response to the earthquakes and compounding humanitarian crises in the affected and surrounding areas. To make a donation to the Canadian Red Cross towards the Earthquake Relief Fund in Turkey and Syria, visit redcross.ca/donate/appeal and find the Earthquake in Turkey and Syria appeal. Once again, that can be found at redcross.ca/donate/appeal.
We're back.
Mm-hmm.
We're back.
Yes, we are.
So Poker Face.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the interesting thing about this. The Oscar nominations just came out, so I'm in the process of trying to watch as many of the nominated films as I can.
Sure, yeah.
The movie that I saw right before Poker Face, the night before I saw Poker Face, is a film called Living. Have you heard of this?
Nope.
It's with Bill Nighy. It's Bill Nighy's first Oscar nominations.
The science guy?
Bill Nighy. Well done, Jameson. You've made the easiest joke anyone could make about that. Well done.
Well done, you dummy. Hey, have you seen Mystery Alaska?
I mean, hey, Bill Nye probably will win an Oscar one of these days. He'll probably make like a short film about how the world is dead and we're all fucked. No, Bill Nighy from
Yes.
Love Actually and Pirates of the Caribbean
I know.
and everything.
I know who he is.
And so the weird thing is that movie Living and Poker Face are weirdly parallel films because they're both about... Living is a movie that's based on an Akira Kurosawa film called Ikaru, which is about... Both of those films are about an old businessman who learns that he's dying, and he sets out to do a series of tasks that will result in leaving the world a better place after he's gone.
Okay.
In the broadest of terms, that's also kind of the plot of Poker Face.
Yeah, I do agree.
A little bit, to a degree.
Yeah.
It was just funny as I was sitting there watching them all like, I'm getting some a weird sense of deja vu from like literally the last movie that I watched. Obviously, they're far different movies from that in terms of quality. One of them is a good movie.
The
other
and one of them is Poker Face.
And the other one is Poker Face, which I expected it to be a lot worse than it was. For 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not good. Not a good movie, but...
I was expecting it to be a little more exciting than it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an interestingly structured movie. It kind of, to use a poker term, shows its hand a little early, shall we say. From a screenplay standpoint, it thinks it has a really terrific hand, but it doesn't realize that it's holding its cards backwards. And we can see everything.
Yeah.
But it thinks it has a great hand. So I'm like, oh, wait till you see what I got for you. Yeah, it's just a really weirdly structured movie, but we'll get into it. So let's run down this plot.
Sure. So it opens with a flashback of
The best way to open a movie.
Yeah, really.
With something that happened before.
Yeah, so young Russell Crowe and his mates are riding their bikes through the outback, and they meet up at the fishing hole where they play their weekly poker game at the top of a waterfall.
It's like a quarry.
Yeah.
Right? It's like one of those things. I never grew up with like one of these things, but you see this shit in movies all the time where there's like a big cliff.
Yeah.
That they jump off of. It's basically the opening of It, except just without like the killer clown or anything like that.
Yeah,
like right down to like the bullshit bullies that show up and like
Yeah.
start picking them around. It's all like, this is some Stephen King fucking horseshit right here.
So like we're introduced to his young friends, who like we'll get to know. Well, we're supposed to get to know throughout the movie. My main problem with
The
this
idea is that we get to know them, but it doesn't quite work out that way.
Like the big takeaways that we're getting from this is that Russell Crowe's character Jake is like the best poker player. His friend Mikey is perhaps the worst poker player, and there's a bully named Victor that comes in and like will steal their money. We get a glimpse of their personalities, where like Mikey bets like the money
Wait,
that was.
we get a glimpse of their personalities? I don't remember that happening.
We
we watched the movie together.
All right, so young Russell Crowe wins the poker game, but Mikey's protesting because like he bet the money that his mother gave him to go buy her like medical prescription, and like, no, you lost it fair and square. Tell you what, if you jump off the waterfall, I'll give you the money back, and he won't because he's a scaredy cat. And look, they should be saying, Mikey, it was dumb of you to bet your mother's prescription money.
Yeah.
Jake, give him the fucking money back. This is more important than the game.
Right, we're 8,
Yeah.
by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into the qualms of morals and ethics here and everything like that. Just give them the damn money back. It's probably $10 anyway.
But like we are shown these characters, but we're not really introduced to them.
Yeah.
Every one of those kids in the poker game, they come back, but the only ones we ever get any kind of like the barest glimpse of an insight to are Jake and Mike.
To just run through them really quickly, Jake, who grows up to be Russell Crowe, the other children are Mikey, Alex, Paul, who we later learn is the brother of Victor the bully, who's about to show up. And then Drew, who is both black and American. And that, I guess, is explained by one line of dialogue where when Victor shows up and he calls them Air Force Pussy Boys. So I guess that is to infer that Drew's family moved to Australia with the military, which explains why there's one American among their group, which is the explanation you have to have because Russell Crowe is friends with RZA and he wanted to cast him in this movie.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't make sense any other way to have like one American there.
He probably can't do a convincing Aussie accent.
Yes. And that's literally the most interesting thing we find out about Drew. But anyway,
we don't find anything else about these characters.
No.
You know, and during the movie, Russell Crowe would do this narration saying that, that their style of play kind of influence how they grew up in life. Like, oh fuck, what was his name? Paul. Like he was very good at bluffing, so he became a politician.
Get it?
Yeah. And the other guy was very meticulous and straightforward, so he became a writer or something like that.
Oh, that's right. I was going over my notes in the lobby downstairs before you were showing up, and I was racking my brain trying to remember what Alex's deal was.
Yeah.
I'm all like, what did he do?
Yeah.
Again, yeah, he is a writer. Well, again, it's a line of dialogue where it's all like, Alex, how's the writing going?
Yeah.
It's all like, writing is good. And that's like the last we ever hear about like any characterization when it has to do with these characters.
Exactly. And then, the bully shows up and he challenges Russell Crowe for the money. Russell Crowe says, I'll play you for it.
We should clarify, they're still children at this point.
Yeah, they're still children at this point.
Yeah.
Again, Russell Crowe beats him in the game, and then the boys jump off the waterfall. And
right.
They
and it's a
the
bonding moment for all of them, and he gives the $10 back to Mikey or whichever boy that was and says, hey, you jumped. And then the boy says all like, my mom wasn't really sick, I was fucking with you. And it's all like, okay, we got some sneaky boys. And then we get this inexplicable Russell Crowe narration. Do we ever find out what he was narrating into? Is he making an audio book? Is he leaving like a video will behind? We don't know. It's the movie just inexplicably turns to narration at this point in time, which is good screenwriting.
Yeah.
It's important to know that we know, because it's all this backstory about.
It's so much fucking horseshit backstory that I don't think the movie necessarily needed, and it certainly didn't need from, I think, Russell Crowe's point of view.
No, well, it's important because it gives us the inexplicable piece of information. Not only were these guys like childhood friends who all loved playing poker, they loved playing poker so much, they invented online poker.
They invented PokerStars.net.
They are the ones. These group of Australian friends are the reason why online poker exists.
Exactly, yeah.
Sure, and that's just one line of dialogue, and we're moving on from there.
Yep.
When the first personal computers came along, we were all over it, adapting them to suit us, writing our own programs for the games we wanted to play. And in '94, we set up the world's first online poker system.
Yeah. And like during that time, since like we founded online poker, I used like not the winnings. I used like the money that I earned from that to invest it into like this defense surveillance contract called Riffle. Yeah.
Which sounds like it's going to be an important plot point. It's not.
Nope. It mentions it every once in a while.
It just mentions it every once in a while that there's like this spyware or whatever. I don't know.
I guess so.
There's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo that they mentioned in this movie that I just completely went over my head.
I know, and I can't be bothered.
I cannot be arsed. No, I truly cannot.
It pops up every once in a while when it's convenient to mention it, but like the other takeaway is that like there's so much to bring up in this fucking movie. I mean, and it really amounts to nothing.
We got a little ahead of ourselves, Jameson. We actually moved into the narration. We completely forgot about one of the most important things that happens in this movie. A random lady comes up to Russell Crowe and asks to paint his portrait.
Yeah. So, like he gets this diagnosis from a doctor that he's got cancer and he's going to die. And
but we don't find that out yet. Although
you can pretty much
we
guess.
can infer that that's what's happening.
So, like, to take it all in, he's just like sitting at an art gallery. And he's just like sitting on his lonesome on a bench, just looking at the paintings.
He's the most haunted man in the world.
And this young woman is so fast. She's like, oh my God, it's Russell Crowe.
Oh my God, it's Russell Crowe. And then, yeah, that's what happens in the movie.
And you don't step through Russell Crowe's shot. You don't edit Russell Crowe's poetry. But yeah, she's got her phone camera out,
She's
like
being
expecting
so
him to,
obvious.
She's expecting him to do something and lose his shit, public freakouts. But she's like, oh, like you just look so compelling, sitting there looking at these. I have to draw you.
I must draw you.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You're the reason cavemen painted on walls.
Oh, and it's so fucking awkward the way that she's just like, hey, I am an artist. Can you just record yourself saying who you are, how old you are, and that you have my permission to.
She's
paint
part
it.
of like this art installation contest or something. I don't know, but she says like I have like 6 months to like paint a portrait for this thing. I just need your permission for it. It's a very complicated thing.
Yeah.
And because it's so complicated, we feel like it's going to be important later.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Nope.
But it does come back around because like a lot of this movie is about art.
Yes.
And I guess eventually he will become art. But basically,
you know why they needed like just give me your name and your age or whatever and what you do for a living. It's because they needed to drop that line in the trailer. That my name is Jake Foley. I'm 57 years old and I'm a gambler.
I'm Jake Foley. I'm 57. And I'm a gambler.
Right. Which is a very cool thing to say. If I went up to like a random person and asked them what they did for a living and they said that, I would have to change my underwear because it would be, that's like the coolest thing I've ever fucking heard.
If someone came up to me and said like, hey, do I have your permission to paint you for something? You just got to give me your name and your contact info. I would have told them to fuck off. I don't want to be involved in that.
You don't want your portrait painted?
No, when
by like a random person?
If it's just me, like, sitting on a bench like a scrub, no. If you're going to paint a portrait of me, I got to be looking dignified and probably well-dressed.
I would do it.
All right.
I will, yeah. I like the idea
You're comfortable, warts and all?
Of being captured in I mean, like, look, I already look terrible in every picture that has ever been taken of me, so, like, paints can only improve this.
Okay, if someone's going to capture me, I want it to be an idealized version of me. I want it to be, like, Jameson crossing the Delaware.
You want it to be that oil painting of Kramer that everyone had in their dorm room.
I loathe him. I can't look away.
Right. Okay, so okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Jumping ahead a little bit without giving away too much of the plot. What I assumed this movie was going to be about was the poker game itself.
Yes.
The quick synopsis of this movie is that Russell Crowe is sort of like this eccentric billionaire or whatever, and he's invited his old childhood friends to come and play a high-stakes poker game during which secrets will be revealed. And silly me, I looked at that plot synopsis and I thought to myself, that must be the entire movie. The movie must start with the poker game, and it's just getting to know these characters, and it's like it's like a bottle episode of a movie. It's one location. You never leave the house or whatever. Like secrets are gonna get revealed. Russell Crowe's gonna be all like, actually, you're here for this reason.
Yeah.
And people will be betrayed and everything like that. And that does happen. It's just the movie is more interested in all the other boring shit.
Yeah. It's build-up.
It's more interested in Russell Crowe setting up the poker game and seeing every single detail about how he sets up the poker game.
Yeah.
And then the poker game itself lasts for, I don't know, 10 minutes?
And it doesn't happen until like 45 minutes into the movie. If not longer than that, maybe 50 minutes into the movie.
So basically, Poker Face is a movie about that, that particular moment where you're having a guy's night, but your one buddy spent the weekend doing an ayahuasca retreat, and he will not stop fucking talking about it, and it ruins the entire weekend.
Yeah, Russell Crowe goes to fucking Willie Nelson's spiritual retreat, and he takes ayahuasca. He goes
to Shaman Bill.
Yeah.
Who's played by veteran Australian character actor Jack Thompson, who is a very big deal in Australia.
Okay.
He's like the Australian, I don't know.
Who was that guy from the pirate movie?
Bill Nye?
No, not Bill Nye. He played the Pirate King. He was
Oh God. What was his name?
God.
It was something Hamilton because I made the Hamilton joke about it.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. Oscar Hamilton. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking of Sesame Street.
Yeah, but check out the episode on the pirate movie to catch that
but
reference,
yeah,
folks.
no, Jack Thompson, very big deal. Not the Jack Thompson that tried to cancel Grand Theft Auto, but you know the other guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I
no,
forgot
he's
about
like this. He's got like this big beard, and like they don't flat out say the words ayahuasca, but like. When you're going to like a tent in the woods and you're talking to a guy that's all like I'm gonna guide you through like this spiritual experience. Also, here's a bucket to throw up in. I'm all like, okay, this is ayahuasca is what this is. I don't think ayahuasca is truth serum, which is this movie. This movie is under the impression that that's what it does.
Yeah, I thought that was different than the stuff that he gives. The truth serum that he gives them at the end of their treatment.
Oh, is he
different
not?
than the ayahuasca.
That's like a different thing.
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And
All
it's just like truth serum does not work the way that it is depicted in the movies.
Right.
If it does work at all, it just removes your inhibitions. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like whiskey.
But we spend so
much
long
fucking
on
time
this. Oh my god, it's
we
never ending.
We get the gist of it, and then there's like a 5-minute musical montage where Russell Crowe is jamming out with Jack Thompson at a bonfire, and he's having these quick flashbacks to his wife dying in a car crash.
Yeah, and
that's the only coverage we get on what happened to his wife.
Well, the thing is like early on in the movie, the transitions are really awkward because we go from the artist asking to paint his portrait, which is the bridge between that scene and him going to Jack Thompson in the woods is bridged by the narration where he's explaining that they created online poker. But then when he goes to see Jack Thompson, he has like a big bushy beard. So I turned to you when we were doing it, and I'm all like, is this later or is this a flashback?
Yeah.
I don't know what point in time this is in relation to Jake's story. I don't. And we later find out that this must have happened before the portrait thing, because I think what is meant to infer is that like he went to the art gallery, the lady snapped the photo of him, and then he went home and started the setting up for the poker game.
Yeah.
So this is a flashback in between those two things, but the movie it does a very poor job of letting us know that this is an indeterminate amount of time before the action that we just saw.
Yeah, the first 45 minutes of the movie, like a lot of time jumps happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Russell Crowe, the serious director, getting so masturbatory. It's just like scenes of like Terrence Malick camera work and like just, no one's really saying anything. Yeah, it's endless. And this was where I was starting to get a little worried.
Yeah, start banging your head on the wall.
I thought poker was happening.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he rings up his old buddies who he keeps talking about how they drifted apart, or like there was some betrayal that happened that is never truly elaborated on, but the betrayals are revealed. But at this point, I'm just thinking like, no, like your buddies are still your buddies. You just kind of drifted apart. I don't talk to my buddies from high school every day, but
the way he's talking, it leads one to infer that there's like this shared trauma that they all had that no one wants to talk about or whatever. Like I expected like there to be like another flashback to when they were like teenagers and they like, I don't know, they ended up like killing and hiding a body or something like that, but no, nothing remotely that interesting happens.
Some secret that they keep to themselves.
Yeah.
But no, it just seems like, we haven't had a poker game in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
And the secrets that he's trying to reveal are like their individual secrets that are more about their character flaws than any way that they've harmed him.
Yeah.
I mean, they did, like, one of them, like, did kind of harm him in, like, one specific way. He doesn't seem that broken up about it.
No. Yeah.
We'll get to that.
He's just he's trying to decide how he's going to divvy up his fortune.
Right.
He wants to see, I guess, if they're worthy of it. So he gets this truth serum from Jack Thompson.
Yes.
He points out, like, okay, just give him, like a little droplet of it. It'll activate on skin contact. So, like, just two little droplets and get their adrenaline going, get, like, the blood pumping, and that will get the truth to start spilling out. Don't take too much of it, though, because it's lethal.
Well, he specifically says it would take 10 cc's injected directly into the bloodstream to kill you.
Yeah.
That's all like, that's a very specific thing to say. I'm sure that won't come back in any way. It's all like, I'm certain there's no logical reason for you to say that other than the fact that it will play into the plot later on.
Yeah.
Yes, so this is where we see Jake is setting up for the poker game. We meet some other characters.
We meet his girlfriend and his daughter.
I think is it his second wife?
It is his second wife.
Yes, because he's remarried.
Yeah.
His first wife has died. His daughter is the daughter from his first marriage. His current wife is like into martial arts.
Yep.
We see her beaten up with a trainer and everything like that. That kind of comes into play later, but again, only sort of.
Meant to show you that she can handle herself in a fight, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah.
To a degree. To a point. And then she becomes a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
But
which
is
important when you're married to Russell Crowe.
For like a minute, she can hold her own.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. And we meet the daughter who asks him for like a big wad of cash so she can buy a jean jacket, and then
Daddy, I need some money, Daddy.
And then immediately turns the dial the opposite way. It's all like, boy, I sure miss Mom.
Yeah, she would be so proud of you handing out all this hard-earned cash to your daughter.
He was counting the money right there. You didn't need to lay on the guilt that much. He was gonna give you the money.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah, wait until he puts down like maybe 420s. He's like, boy, I sure do miss Mom. And then he should like roll his eyes like, oh, all right. Like 60, 80.
We also meet his lawyer, Sam, who the movie constantly is telling us is supposed to be an important character. Spoiler alert, really isn't.
No.
What? Oh, just God.
But he sticks around for the whole movie.
He sticks around for long enough to make you think something must happen with this lawyer character. And nothing ever does.
You know what I think it must be? He's got more screen time than RZA. So
he does. He truly does.
So here's my take. RZA was probably only around for like maybe a day and a half of filming.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, oh shit, like I got other commitments. I can't be in this whole movie. Thanks for inviting me, Russell, but I can't commit to the whole thing. And Russell Crowe's looking around on the set and like, well, shit, we have an empty chair. Lawyer character, you're playing with us in the game.
That's so weird. It's so weird that the lawyer also plays the card game.
Yeah.
It amounts to nothing. Anyway, we're getting a little far ahead, but I just need to set up the fact that this lawyer character is set up to be a very important character. He will not be.
Most of the characters set up in the very first scene at the waterfall are set up to be important characters, and most of them are. I can't even remember if one of those kids has a line in that opening scene.
Definitely one of them says nothing. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So all the grown-up versions of those friends, they come by, they meet in the hotel lobby, and they are escorted by the lawyer to a parking lot.
As mentioned very quickly, Paul grew up to be a politician. He is played by an actor named Steve Bastoni. Alex is an author, as I'm just learning here. Yeah. He's played by Aiden Yun, and Mikey has grown up to be a bit of a wastrel, and he is played by our old friend Liam Hemsworth, making his second appearance on this podcast, playing a role that he is a full 20 years too young to be played. He is not the same age as all the rest of these characters.
To be a contemporary of all these other actors, but man, do they age him up for this.
They make him very weather-beaten. Because he's also playing like the alcoholic, the one with
the guy whose life fell apart. After
the guy who can't get his shit together, and he's suicidally depressive, and he drinks 2 bottles of vodka a day, and they did a really good job of like
making him look weathered,
redding up Liam Hemsworth's natural handsome face, whatever. And despite the fact that Liam Hemsworth is just one of the most wooden, forgettable actors in almost every movie that he's in, he's kind of one of the best performances in this movie.
Yeah.
He's not bad.
When he's not forced to play a lead and he's just meant to be like a character, he's pretty good. And yet I have this feeling that the movie would have been better if it was completely from his perspective.
Oh, you think Mikey should be the protagonist?
Well, hear me out on this.
Sure.
You
are arguing for Liam Hemsworth to be the lead of a movie.
I know, stranger things.
What happened to us?
Yeah, what happened? Empire State was not that long ago. Well, look, his life is completely shattered. He's falling apart. He's an alcoholic, and then out of the blue, his billionaire friend from childhood, who he hasn't spoken to in undetermined amount of time, he invites him to come over to this high-stakes poker game. Now, that seemed like the premise to like a bunch of other movies, right? This guy who has nothing gets invited to, like the mysterious friend that he lost touch with, and I want to play a game. Mm-hmm. There's some material there.
I don't want to go as far as to say that Mikey should be the audience surrogate character, but the movie definitely should have opened with these individual characters doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And then they get the invitation to the poker game. We shouldn't see Russell Crowe in this movie until like almost 15, 20 minutes in.
We shouldn't know ahead of time that he's dying. That should be.
We should not know ahead of time
that should be
he's
sprung
dying.
on
Absolutely.
at the same time that everyone else is in on it at the poker game.
This is the problem with this screenplay is that it reveals all of the secrets before the poker game happens. We shouldn't know that Russell Crowe is dying of cancer until he tells the people in the room that he's dying of cancer. We shouldn't find out what his fucking poison Xanatos gambit is, that he has like this drug with him until like the movie's halfway done.
Yeah.
Like we shouldn't do. The movie should be the guys getting together in the room. It's just a series of conversations where we get to know them individually as characters.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the enigmatic Russell Crowe shows up.
Wait until a hole opens in Riz's schedule to get him in the room, put his ass in the chair, make him an actual character. Because look, it's cool, I guess, that you made the only black character in this movie, the only one who like seems to be like a morally decent human being,
and completely in on what Russell Crowe's doing.
Yes, yeah. but by giving him zero personality, that's almost as bad. As making him like a stereotype.
Yeah.
Because there's truly nothing to this character. But so like actually write a character for RZA, give him a reason to be there, or eliminate that character.
Yeah.
And then just have them start sharing more and more personal details about themselves. And us as an audience, we don't know why. We don't know why everyone's getting so personal and are acting so. It should get to a point where we as an audience are sitting there going like, boy,
what's happening here?
The acting in this movie is really like exaggerated and like kind of bad. And then when Jake reveals, I've poisoned you all, it's all like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You need to, but the movie.
And you still can't predict what Russell Crowe's doing. What's his end game here? Why is he trying to poison his friend?
The movie tells us everything. There's no mysteries in this movie.
Yeah. So the friends all take these supercars to an isolated location in the Australian hillside.
Jake instructs Sam to tell them to literally race.
Yeah. Which is like one of those bullshit billionaire games at the expense of everybody else. Because they don't close off any streets.
No. Like, here's the thing: is that these characters, like these rich entitled assholes, like I know, like. Liam Hemsworth probably doesn't have the same amount of money that everyone else does, but like still, it's all like these super rich tech billionaires or whatever and everything like that. They think they're in an action movie because this scene is shot like an action movie. It's all like going through anything like that. Reality, they're just being irresponsible and like just being like general douchebags.
Yeah. So they go to his private compound up in the hills.
And we see as Paul is driving, he's trying to contact somebody. And we are led to infer that Paul is doing something sneaky. He's doing something, because he tells people to call it off because they've changed.
The plans changed.
The plans changed. The location has changed.
Yeah. Should we just say like what the deal is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So he's calling up his brother and a couple of art thieves because their plan is to rob Russell Crowe. The mansion destination that they're going to play the card game at, they assumed it was going to be empty. They're going to sack the place, steal all the priceless art there. But now that they're going to be there, he's like, we have to call this off. And the brother says no.
Right.
We need to do this.
We got lots to say about Victor, but we're not quite at him yet. But so basically it's all like it's called off. They're going to be at the house, so you can't go in and steal like a ton of art because we will be in the house. And Victor's all like, no, fuck you. We're going to the house. Fuck you. We're going to the house.
Yeah.
And Paul has no time to argue with his crazy brother because he has to go and he has to continue to pretend like nothing is the matter. Again. What a fun reveal that the movie
should have come up a little later.
Reveals for us ahead of time.
Thanks, Russell.
Just absolutely no mystery.
Yeah.
No mystery, no surprise, no twists. No, get that all out of the way at the beginning.
With the amount of great movies Russell Crowe has been in, you'd think he'd know how to structure a movie.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I completely forgot to mention, this is the second movie that Russell Crowe's directed. His previous movie that he directed was a big awards bait type drama called The Water Diviner, which once again he was also the star of. He tends to be the star of the movie that he directs. That's a movie about, it's like a period war epic about a guy in Australia who his 3 sons go off to war, and then he has to go and find them. It's like Saving Private Ryan, but he's the one going out trying to find the sons on his own.
Okay.
And I'm delighted to inform you, Jameson, that the trailer does include the line, "You can find water, but you can't even find your sons." I did love that.
Wow.
That was good. Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, it looks better than this movie, but it also doesn't look like a movie I'm going to be watching anytime soon.
Okay.
So that's 2 for 2 for Russell Crowe. Movies
good
that
to
he's
know.
directed that no one will ever remember, outside of maybe Australia.
Yeah. Fuck, all of Australia is coming for us now. Yeah.
After what we've covered on this show,
After the pirate movie, yeah.
we're not allowed in Australia.
No.
For sure.
Crikey.
Yeah, so they get there and the poker game finally, 44 minutes into the movie, the poker game finally starts.
Well, he tells him, okay, so this is like the highest of high stakes for the poker game. Like 50 million is up for grabs, divided in between these poker chips.
What first happens is he gifts them all the cards.
Yeah, he gifts them the cards.
He says, you can keep the car, or you can take what's in the box. No, he says, like, you could trade in the car for 5 million in poker chips.
Yeah.
Is it 5 million or is it 50 million?
5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
Still a lot of money.
Still a ton of money. Yeah.
Yeah, and they basically just like up the stakes dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a brief moment where everyone kind of like debates whether or not they should do this, and it's just all like, stop fucking wasting time.
Yeah.
We know you're gonna play the poker game. The movie's called Poker Face.
To quote Liam Hemsworth, it's 5 million in chips. It's poker. Let's fucking go.
Yes.
You could have fucking summarized the whole movie up until that point with that. Like, open the movie with that line.
Yeah. 2 things happen here involving Liam Hemsworth. Once again, talking about Sam the lawyer and how lots of things are brought up that you assume are going to pay off later, but truly never done. There's like the faintest of subplots where Mikey keeps insulting Sam, and it leads to like this kind of awkward moment where they're drinking glasses of wine, which actually is important. We should mention.
Yeah, that's how they get the truth serum on him.
Russell Crowe has poured wine into glasses for everyone, and they've all done a toast. But that's what he coated the truth serum in, and so everyone's touching their face and they're getting the truth serum in them and everything. And Mikey sort of flippantly hands Sam his wine glass before he goes off to the table. It's sort of like he's like a servant, like he's not worth his time or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's this moment where the camera lingers on the lawyer, and you can see him seething. And Russell Crowe puts like a hand on his shoulders, all like, "It'll be all right, don't worry about it." And I'm all like, oh, okay, how in on this is the lawyer? Like, something's going to be revealed here.
Yeah.
Truly no. Truly, this comes to nothing.
Yep.
It really, truly does come to nothing. So that happens. And then Liam Hemsworth proceeds to walk over to the table where the beautiful dealer is, and he proceeds to hit on his own sister-in-law.
Oh, is that...
That is Elsa Pataki, the wife of Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, really?
Just to make things doubly confusing.
Oh, you think he was on set? No, they couldn't get Chris
No, they
Hemsworth.
couldn't get him on Hemsworth. I mean, Elsa Pataki, some people might recognize her if they're fans of the Fast and the Furious franchise. She was the cop that used to be The Rock's partner, and then later on she has a romance with Vin Diesel until they managed to find a way to bring Michelle Rodriguez back, in which case she has Vin Diesel's baby and then is shot in the head.
Oh.
Goodbye! That's good. That's a good way of treating that character.
About as good as that establishing shot of her, where it's just of her cleavage.
Of her cleavage, and also like a weird moment where the camera lingers on her putting on her dress, and we can see what I'm assuming is her actual tattoo.
Her back tattoo.
Her back tattoo, and I'm all like,
It's
oh,
like
okay.
weird swirls on her.
It's just weird swirls in her back, and it's all like, is this going to be important? Is this foreshadowing? No, Russell Crowe just wanted to see this lady get into a dress and whatever. And this is Penelope, and she's the dealer, and is she an important character? No, she doesn't even stick around for that long. She's like gone in like 2 minutes.
Pretty much, yeah. She deals one hand of poker.
They play. I cannot get over the fact. I cannot. I know I said this earlier, but it must be stated again. In this movie called Poker Face, one hand of poker is played. And it results in
a split pot.
In a split pot.
Yeah.
So truly nothing happens. So it's almost like no hands of poker were played at all.
It's her easiest gig ever.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And they start talking about like other stuff.
which I could have used more of. I
Yeah.
like. I mean, just as part of the experience of, I just want to hear like these old pals just like swap stories about what they've been up to.
One might even say that should be half of the movie.
Yeah.
Is just that, but instead, all the talking is just done over montage.
Yeah.
And we kind of hear parts of stories, and everyone's laughing. It's all like, oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And then it transitions into something else, and it's
Yeah.
all like,
And until RZA shows up.
are we not?
Until RZA just like pops in late and they just decide, okay, game's over.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, so Jake was in, like, a helicopter earlier, and then he got a call from Drew, and this was the moment where you and I were all like, oh, is RZA literally just a phone voice this entire movie?
Yeah, he's on the poster, but
Okay.
he's not in the movie.
Okay.
But, no, he is in the movie.
Jameson,
Yes.
can you explain to me what RZA's character does? Because I feel like it's like one line of dialogue where he explains what his whole deal is and why he's there, and I feel like I completely missed it.
I feel like I've missed it too, but what I could gather was he is still the closest to Russell Crowe. It seems like they never really drifted apart. I have the impression that he does something for his company.
He does something for the, what was it, Dibble?
Riffle.
Riffle.
Yeah.
We called it Riffle. Shit name, I know.
I feel like he is in charge of that. I feel like he's in charge of like someone's finances.
He probably runs the day-to-day of it.
Yeah, because he says that like we used Riffle on you and we were able to look into all your bank accounts. And
Yeah.
Paul, I noticed that you have no money in your bank account.
Yeah.
Why is that? And I'm all like, are we here now?
Yeah.
Like RZA literally just showed up, and now suddenly we're at the
Yeah, let's bring up all these...
spill all your secrets part of the movie. Is all like I thought that was coming much later.
That came out of fucking nowhere.
came out of
okay,
absolutely nowhere.
I'm here. Like you got me for half a day, Russell.
Yeah.
Let's just
do
bang this out.
Do we have any time to establish Drew as a character?
Yeah.
Do we learn one thing about him? No, we don't have time. We gotta keep going.
Yeah.
We gotta keep moving. It's really bad.
Yeah. And then the robbers show up.
Yeah.
The pretentious art critic.
The pretentious art critic. Now, there was a moment as I was sitting there, was all like, okay, fine.
Finally, the game started.
They're finally playing poker. Immediately cut to these pretentious art thieves. And I'm all like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So if you love art so much, then why do you steal it?
To possess it, even just briefly, to be close enough to smell the canvas, to touch the brush strokes, to have possessed it.
Joke's on me. They're the best part of the movie.
Yeah. Once again, we've stumbled upon great goons. You know, one
Fantastic
one
goons.
highbrow one, one lowbrow one, and they're great together.
And a muscle.
And yeah.
It's a classic trio of bumbling crooks. We
Yeah.
have Victor, as we
Was the
mentioned
bully,
earlier, who was the bully from earlier, and Paul's brother, and like the chief madman of the situation. We have his right hand man Billy, who's just who kind of reminded me of Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He kind of had like that face
to an extent, yeah.
to a degree. But yeah, he's just like
he's
your,
that Aussie bruiser.
yeah, he's just like your
He's just a
standard
thug, yeah.
smash and grab guy. And then we have the art historian turned criminal Styx.
Yeah, after the band.
my-
the renegade who had it made.
Exactly,
They finally
or the river,
found me. Yeah.
not the pieces of wood. Yes, he was played by an actor named Benedict Hardy, who was my favorite performance in the movie.
Yeah,
I
he-
really like this character.
He's just like this snooty art appraiser who's in on the B&E. And
it's this weird little mini movie within the movie. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of all like you said, is all like the movie should be from Liam Hemsworth's perspective. I would be happy about a movie just from this character.
I mean,
it's a really interesting diversion that this movie takes, where it's all like he's not a criminal, he's never like murdered or hurt anyone, but he knows the value of paintings.
Yeah. And-
so they've brought him along to appraise the stuff that they're going to steal.
And, you know, he has a lot of insight on the paintings. And at first I'm just like, oh my God, this movie, talk about the poker game, talk about like these characters we've invested. I don't care about Aussie paintings. By the end, I'm a little fascinated by
5
the
minutes
history
later,
of
I'm all
art.
like, actually, this is kind of more interesting than the poker
Yeah.
game.
Henry James Johnston. Hard to find in this condition. Look at the way he painted the light. Came to Australia to mine for gold, ironically became a photographer. William Dobell, woman in restaurant, last sold for 939,000. John Peter Russell, so rare. He hardly ever exhibited. Classmate of Lautrec and Van Gogh. He destroyed 400 of his masterworks in grief when his wife died. A lot of people believe that these marks of reflection are Streeton painting a portrait of himself, painting the glass. You see, it's like A man leaning over an easel.
I mean, like, I could have gotten this experience going to like an art gallery in Australia, but like, fuck, like it's kind of interesting.
I like this guy's...
all these artists I've never heard of, but
I like this guy's performance. I like his look. I like his little tiny mustache.
Yeah,
he's got like a little bit of a...
he's a scrawny little weenie guy.
I don't mean to be rude. I truly don't mean to be rude, but he's got a little bit of a rat face, and he's just kind of like, look, I'm sure he gets that all the time. I'm sure he gets cast as people who are looking for like little rat dudes. But he's great in this role. I love the arc of this character. I love like kind of the heartbreaking way his story ends, which we'll get to. But yeah, it's really great. But yeah, so the robbers show up, led by Victor, who's played by, of course, an Australian actor named Paul Tassone, which is a fun name because it makes me think of Paul Masson. The French champagne. Right. There's an Australian champagne by Paul Tasson. I'm sorry, I don't know. I like that. This guy's crazy.
He's dialed all the fucking way.
He's dialed all the way up to 15.
Yeah,
This is a very big performance.
Very scene chewy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. I'm not going to say it was a good performance, but I did.
It's a performance.
I liked what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He
brought
really
the most energy than anybody.
He made some choices. This guy.
he kept spitting at the camera and
he kept spitting everywhere.
Yeah.
His beard was 80% spit. He's just a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they break into the house, and the players, they hurry up into the panic room.
Well, what's important to note is that this whole it's a weird sort of balancing act this movie does at this point, because they introduce these three bumbling crooks, and this is where the movie starts getting like a little bit of humor. It injects like a little bit of like personality into this thing where like the friends are all like locked in his panic room, and now they're going around trying to like rob him and everything. And it's like, okay, we kind of got like a bumbling crook atmosphere here. What's sort of offset by that is the fact that right before they break into the house, they brutally murder someone.
They do, but by accident. Well,
I don't know if it was that by accident. I have a feeling like Victor kept... So what happens is we see... Russell Crowe has all of like these people who work for him. Attendants, assistants, or whatever. And we see one of them driving away from the house. He's on the phone with his girlfriend or someone just saying, Russell Crowe gave me like a big tip. It's going to be a good weekend for me.
Yeah, I sure love living and I love you, and I'm one day away from retirement.
Great for me. Yeah. And then the robbers basically run him off the road, and they kidnap him because...
Take him to the gate and say, like, what's the code? Like, get us in there.
What's the code? And it's this character, this attendant character, reveals that once the gate opens, it will continue to close. There's no motion sensors or anything like that.
It, yeah.
If you stand in the way of the gate, you will be crushed by the gate.
Yeah.
So Victor uses this to his advantage, holds this poor character in view of the gate until he gets the 4-digit code from him. But then he doesn't move the poor guy out of the way, and the guy gets his neck impaled by a spike, and it's really quite violent. And I mean, it's meant to imply that it's all like, okay, Victor's the bad guy.
Yeah. But their reaction is kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. And that poor... I guess they found that poor guy the next morning. Because,
he's just stuck on the gate
He's just continually stuck on the gate. This poor random guy.
Yeah, just impaled for the rest of...
But they do eventually break into the house.
Yeah. And, they're checking out his art, and he's got, like, a pretty dope collection, I assume, from what Styx tells us. And, we forgot to mention that Liam Hemsworth brought a gun.
Yes.
Because
we forgot to mention a couple things. This movie's a little dense.
Yeah. So, he brought a gun with the intent of killing himself in front of his friends, sort of like a thanks, you guys were my best mates, thanks for last night, and then bang.
Can I just say, dick move.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself, but if you are going to kill yourself, don't kill yourself in a room with all of, like, your best friends.
Yeah.
That's not nice. That's going to leave them with a lot of emotional scars.
If you don't feel bad enough already, especially don't do that.
Yeah.
It's so funny that he brings up that he hasn't seen these guys in a while and that they've drifted apart and there's like a sense of betrayal and all that. They seem to be really tight though. It's like no time has passed at all. They even say to Liam Hemsworth, "Oh, I wish you reached out to us. We would have done anything for you, man."
Well,
Like,
I mean, that's a very realistic thing. I mean, like, I feel like I've had this experience many times this past year or whatever. There are just those friends that you have that you haven't talked to in like literally like 4 years or anything like that, and you meet them for the first time in a while, and you just pick up like
instantly,
you never left off, and that's kind of the situation here.
Yeah.
So we kind of glazed over this. So Russell Crowe reveals his fucking Xanatos gambit or whatever he's got. He was all like, "I've poisoned all of you. I'm dying and I've poisoned all of you and I'm taking you all with me." And he's doing a fib.
Yeah,
he's doing a bamboozle because he didn't actually poison them. He just gave them some truth serum.
Yeah, and
but
they immediately take him at his word.
They immediately take him at his word.
They don't think he's like bullshitting them or anything, but yeah, they start divulging their secrets. The politician reveals that he's being blackmailed by Victor, I assume.
Victor, yes, because we don't want Paul to be like an entirely unlikable character, so it's not his fault that he's robbing Russell Crowe. But it's because Victor bullied him into blackmailed him to do it.
Blackmailed into like giving him his address and his itinerary and stuff.
Because he had an affair.
Yeah,
he's having an affair because of course he is, because he's a politician in a movie, so of course he's having an affair. Alex is also having an affair, surprise, with Jake's wife. Yeah, which is like the only thing that you can remember about this character. This character wouldn't exist other than this revelation. Yeah. Right here. And this becomes...
Speaking of the wife, yes. We like smash cut to Becca, his daughter, tearfully on the phone with the wife. Nicole, yeah. Yes. She's left, and like you've always got like this impression that like, oh, her and Russell Crowe's marriage is on the rocks anyway, so you know you don't really know the story of it just yet.
I circled this because this was a really weird line of dialogue. There's like a scene where Jake and Nicole are like side by side brushing their teeth or doing something or whatever. They're both looking into like parallel mirrors or whatever. And I forget what line Nicole says to Jake to set this up, but then he turns to her and says, "Apply where necessary." Did you catch that?
No, but I'll gather the audio and video.
I have absolutely no idea why he says that. I wrote that down in circling because I'm all like, this will be important later. Truly wasn't.
Yeah.
Sorry. My fault.
Apply where necessary.
I don't know.
So so Becca's on the phone.
She's found his blood tests. Yeah, which he left in like a folder on his desk.
Yeah. And she's like, "Why hasn't anybody told me? No one trusts me. I'm a fucking adult. Why won't you be honest with me?" And Nicole says, "Okay. Here's the truth. I wanted to have a child, but your dad was against it. He only wanted you as a daughter. So 5 months ago, without consulting me, he got a vasectomy. And because of that, we just have this irreconcilable difference. But yeah, he had a vasectomy." And she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I'm talking about the cancer."
Yeah.
And
it's
oh,
like, okay.
that.
So he hasn't told his wife. Yeah, it's a very awkward scene. I mean, everything you just said is true, but the movie is even more blunt than that. It was all like, "Why didn't anyone tell me about like Dad? Like, what's going on?" He's all like, "Okay, hold on, I'm gonna pull over. All right, this is really serious. We need to have a really serious talk. Okay, your dad had a vasectomy. Like, that's literally the first thing she says.
Yeah,
is like, your dad had a. I'm all like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
I need to parse this through my brain.
Any other movie that would have been played for laughs. Maybe this movie that's a dark sense of humor, black humor. That,
and it makes sense. We find out later when it's revealed that Alex has been sleeping with Nicole, and Nicole is pregnant with Alex's child.
Yeah.
Right, and that's revealed. So Alex reveals that. Paul reveals he's robbing him, and Mikey reveals that he brought a gun. He wants to kill himself.
That's right.
And Sam is also there, and Sam has also been drugged. I don't know why. I thought Sam was in on this.
Sam got drugged because he touched Liam Hemsworth's wine glass. So now when everyone is divulging their truth, he divulges the truth. Yeah. So he divulges this truth about like, yeah, lawyers always say go for a trust, but really it's better to like do this instead.
Right. Well,
which is also played for laughs.
Is that what that earlier scene was meant to imply? It wasn't that like the lawyer was like fuming at Liam Hemsworth for treating him like shit. It was that he knew that there was true serum on the glass, and Liam Hemsworth forced the wine glass into his hand, and that's why Jake was all like, "It'll be okay." Oh, it's because he's all like, "I'm in it now. Yeah. I might as well play poker." By the way,
attorney-client privilege is now out the window now.
Who gave him $5 million? Did Jake also?
Well, RZA
give
didn't
him
show
a
up
card?
yet, so
I don't
that
know.
was-
I guess he was playing. He was playing with his hand.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah, secrets have been revealed.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the secrets are revealed, Victor and the goons break in, and everyone runs into the panic room.
Yeah.
And this is where it's revealed that these are the worst fucking criminals in the world, because of course Jake is a tech billionaire. He has cameras in every single room. None of them are wearing masks.
Nope.
Victor is loudly announcing, "Is all like, I'm gonna steal from you, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
take
know
it
you're
back.
here, mate.
I love robbing.
You remember me, Jake? It's
I
me,
love
Victor.
to rob. Remember me from the earlier scene?
Yeah.
I love to rob."
I'm making this personal because I'll never forget how you beat me in poker on top of the waterfall.
He stops just short of saying, like, "By the way, there's a dead guy outside. I did that.
Yeah.
I, Victor, whose face looks like this."
Yeah.
And it's just like, at no point, like, Styx seems like a genuinely intelligent person. At some point in time, he should have said, "We need to go.
Well-
we're on. He has our faces."
Eventually, he finds like it starts adding up. Like, oh, that's this really priceless work of art. That's that really priceless
Yeah.
work of art. That's another priceless work of art. Holy shit! A guy who has this amount of priceless art is
Who is this
Who
guy?
is this guy?
Yeah.
Maybe we should get the fuck out of here because he probably knows some people who could come after us.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Styx goes from, like, "This is amazing" to, like, this is
Maybe
this is
we
too
should
good.
go.
This is a little too good.
Yeah.
And at no point in time does anyone clock, "Oh, they have our we can't steal anything now." They have a recording with all of our faces on it.
Yeah.
Not only that, we have said our names. We have said this is the worst burglary
Yeah.
that has ever existed.
Especially since like they don't even start hauling paintings out of there. They're just like touring the house, looking
Yeah.
at this art, and it's like not good enough. Like, oh, that'll get us something. But like, just grab everything. You know, they're in
Yeah.
the panic room. They have one bullet in the gun. They're not going to come after you.
Not only did they know the house was going to be occupied when they went in there, but like they're like bullish and like they're
putting
all-
their feet up on the couch.
Not
and
only
everything.
do I know you're here, I'm loudly going to announce every intention of what I'm currently doing right now. Yeah, I know you're videotaping me. I don't fucking care. I'm fucking Victor. I don't give a shit.
Aussie's #1 criminal. Yeah. So Nicole and Becca show up at the house and they become hostages.
Just in time to become hostages.
Yeah.
There is a brief moment where we think, oh, we're going to subvert things because, of course, we had that scene earlier where Nicole was doing her martial arts or whatever, and she does start fighting back.
Yeah.
And she does pretty good for a while, and even Becca is able to get away for a while.
Yeah, well, she's partnered up with Styx, who's
Right.
like a bit of a.
It's easy to get away from Styx,
Yeah.
but the three of them do manage to overpower the ladies, unfortunately, and they do get comically tied to a chair.
Yeah.
Like, they might as well include, like, a big stick of dynamite in
Yeah,
it, too,
yeah.
for as
Well,
for as
it was a railroad track
for as
not available.
cartoonish as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the stakes are raised. Jake has to, decide, what am I gonna do? What's the way out of this?
Yeah.
But what we've also noticed is that as soon as Victor was declaring himself Lord of the Manor and walking around and everything like that, the first thing he did was grab the wine glass and start
Yeah,
drinking.
so now
out of
he's
it.
got it.
So now he's got the truth serum, so Jake can continue
Yeah.
his master plan of pretending that he has
Yeah.
been poisoned.
So so let's get his heart rate going. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that gun. He doesn't know that there's only one bullet in it. I'm going to square off with him. Victor points the gun at the women, and even like his one henchman goes, "What the fuck, man?"
This was maybe the best line reading in the movie. I had to stop the movie and rewind it because you missed it, and I'm all like, you have to hear this reaction.
Yeah.
Because Paul Masson, Masson,
Yeah.
that's not his name. That's what I'm going to call him. Paul Masson.
Yeah, Orson Welles.
He's holding the shotgun at these two women. He's all like, "I'm going to fucking kill him, man!" Ah! And Billy's just all like, "The fuck, man?" But he says it as if like the actor
Yeah.
didn't know his scene partner was going to go that big.
Yeah.
It was a very natural reaction.
He broke character to be
He
like,
totally broke character in
"Buddy,
this
this
scene.
is poker face."
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here?
No one is requiring you to go this hard.
Yeah.
Come on in here, you prick! You hear me, Jake? Get your ass in here!
But yeah, Jake comes out and they have the Mexican standoff. Victor's words, not mine.
Yeah.
It's a line from the movie. I don't want to. We're
Yeah.
already offending Australia. I don't want to
Yeah,
offend
the
Mexico
two goons
as
go
well,
upstairs to get the most valuable painting, which
Right.
is hanging in the kitchen. And Jake's buddies, like, hey, just like in the waterfall back in the day, right? We all jumped together, and they swarmed.
Oh
the
my
two
god,
guys.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's super
that
fucking line.
sucked.
Oh my
that
god,
sucked. What? Fuck that
what
line.
a payoff to that.
That was what. Yeah,
remember that?
This is why we needed this. Yeah, remember the waterfall from earlier? It's a metaphor. We're all working together, and Sam the lawyer's all like, I wasn't even there for that. It's all like, you're part of this now.
Yeah.
You're part of the crew.
Yeah.
This is why RZA had to be here. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake tells Victor, yeah, you've been poisoned, but the antidote's in that safe. Just like let me, wander over there.
Yeah.
Just constantly like getting more and more agitated.
And he says like, he says like the antidote is in there. I also need it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this raises the question. Do you think at this point in time in the movie, Jake is planning on also taking his own life, or did he volunteer that information because he knew Victor would be a bully and knock him out and take it all for himself?
Well, we've already established that Jake is an amazing poker player.
Yes.
So...
He understands the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he understands the psychology of the criminal mind.
Exactly. I mean, he read Victor so well 40 years ago or whatever.
He read his poker face.
He read his poker face.
And
yeah,
it's the same poker
and
face
he's got
from
an
when he
amazing
was
poker
11.
face himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes to the vault and he takes out the truth serum, and Victor cold cocks him, and fuck, what was that? What was that line?
I wrote it down, and forgive my language, but again, this is the line from the movie.
Yeah.
He knocks him down. Is all like, you're not gonna have any of it. I'm gonna take all of it. Enjoy your death from poison, you sick cunt.
Enjoy your death from poison, you sick cunt.
Screenwriting.
Oh my god, very good. Line of the movie. Line of the movie in the way that it was delivered, and just that selection of words all put together.
Enjoy your death by poisoning. Russell, you sure you don't want this other guy to get full writing credit?
No. Yeah, and then and
he takes the whole vial and he jabs like all 10 cc's into his thigh.
He takes Jake on his word, and it's all like, inject this into your bloodstream. He's all like, sounds good. Yes, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes and he dies in the garden.
Yeah.
And then Jake follows him and points a gun at him, even though he clearly is dying from poison. Yeah. And then it basically flashes forward to Jake is now dead, and it's the reading of the will.
Yeah.
And everyone lived happily ever after. Everyone got money.
It's so...
Mikey went to rehab.
Well, it's so ridiculous. So so you all get, a split of like $5 million each. The rest has been divvied up into charities, including one to combat gambling addiction.
Yeah.
A nice touch there. Yeah, he said, RZA, you get full control and ownership of my charities. Blah, 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 blah,
Which, to our knowledge, you were already doing, but as far as we know.
The other guys had weird conditions. Like, hey, Paul, you get $5 million, but you got to get out of politics.
Get out of politics. Change jobs, buddy.
All right.
Yeah.
Alex, you get $5 million so you can raise...
He very graciously gives them money as well.
I don't care that you slept with my wife.
Be happy. Obviously, I want you guys to raise your child and be happy, so here's money to do that. It's very big of him.
Liam Hemsworth, you get $5 million on the condition that you finish rehab.
Right.
Which, rehab's got to stick.
He's
got to want to stay better.
The ending of this movie is all like... it's all like you can conquer your demons with alcohol. You can stop being a problem gambler. Don't drive drunk. Things like that. Like
all things Russell Crowe probably did back in the 2000s.
There's lots of messaging in this movie, and it does really feel like Russell Crowe is trying to say, I'm changed. I'm a different person now. You can see it in my movie.
Yeah.
These are the things that I personally believe in.
Yeah.
They're all good things.
Yeah.
And they're all good messages.
And he says to Becca, you get $5 million, but also I want you to cherish these men in your life, your uncles. Ignore their flaws, ignore their betrayals. They're good people at heart. And
but listen to Drew the most.
Yeah, listen to Drew the most.
Beck, your delinquent uncles are in no way perfect. But you'll find in life that friendship and love start when you forgive imperfections. Listen to them all. They've all got big life journeys to draw from. But listen to Drew the most.
These characters that, we've spent all this time getting to know. We hardly know a damn thing about any of them.
Really not.
We know the least about RZA, but you
absolutely
listen to him.
the worst about the least.
The less you know about him, the better.
Yeah. Don't bother giving him the opportunity to act or be a character or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then of course the movie ends on the most important wraparound at all. She made a painting
Oh,
of
yeah,
him.
the painting, which wasn't of him at the bench. It's just like a very solemn-looking Russell Crowe.
Like, I thought the whole idea of, like, because, like, the candid photo she took of her phone is him sitting on a bench looking at art, and it's like, it's a real, like, exhibit moment, you know? It's all like, yo, we heard you like art, so we made a painting of a guy looking at a painting within a painting.
Yeah.
Dog.
Oh, that exhibit.
That one, yeah. But
you
no,
meant like an art
it's a close-up of his face on a black background, so it's all like, that could have been any candid photo you took of him.
That's like the video she took of him saying, like, my name is Jake Foley.
Yeah.
I'm giving you permission to paint me likeness. Yeah.
And it's a fine portrait, but it's all like, why was this important? We completely forgot the most important character closure of all.
Oh, yeah.
Is when they're
Sticks, yeah.
when they're wrestling the other two thugs. You know, like they all gang up and everything like that.
Six, who's like only in it for the art
Yeah.
because he loves art.
He's been inferring over and over again, I don't kill people. I'm not here for murder. I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm just here to rob. That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah.
We see
during the scuffle with the friends, one of the guns is dropped, and like the fight happens, and the lights are off.
Yeah.
Yeah. He picks up the gun and fires, and we assume he killed one of Russell Crowe's friends. No, he shoots the most valuable painting.
He shoots the most expensive like the more than priceless painting.
Yeah.
Is destroyed,
And-
which to a character like Styx is the worst murder
Yeah.
that could have possibly happened. And he gets dragged off, and presumably he spends life in prison because he's also booked on manslaughter because he was part of that other murder that happened earlier.
Yeah.
And it's a very satisfying end
Yeah,
to that particular. It's the only satisfying character conclusion in the movie.
Yeah.
is this very minor art thief character.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the
but-
look on his face is, he's heartbroken
Yeah.
at what he's done.
Very good performance
Yeah.
from this actor, Benedict Hardy, who I will have to see if he is in other things. He's probably in other Australian projects.
Most likely,
if
yeah.
I had to guess. And that's Poker Face. Was there anything else we didn't talk about? We did start off the movie by counting the number of production credits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was that thing where there was like 8 in a row, but they were all
They were all in the same font, in the same style.
the same color. They
Same
were all
color, yeah.
gold. And yeah, it was like they were all. I'm used to like a bunch of like production credits in front of the movie, but usually they have their own fanfare.
Yeah.
These all appeared to be like subsidiaries of like one larger company because it was like Grey Owl Productions.
Yeah, yeah.
And like
What was the last one? Fear of God?
Fear of
Picture-
God films, which I am going to bet dollars to donuts is Russell Crowe's personal favorite. That's what it is.
Look
I would assume.
at the other films of Fear of God films.
Look into that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I really got nothing.
So Poker Face, does it have a certain something, or is it a whole lot of nothing?
This is a whole lot of nothing.
I think there are droplets of something. Again, it's currently at 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's a little mean. I didn't hate this movie, but
Okay.
it is very pointless. It was a tremendous waste of time.
Outside of some key performances from Styx and Adult Victor, is that if you had to remove those two guys from the
And
movie?
a surprisingly good turn from Liam Hemsworth.
Okay, that
The
too.
first genuinely good performance I think I've ever seen him give.
Okay.
I can't think of too many movies I mean, like he's in those Hunger Games movies, but I don't remember him in those.
I don't know. I think just the way that this whole movie is structured
Badly.
very badly.
Yeah.
Noticeably bad.
Again,
to the point where like I was thinking about this movie earlier today, just running through like the scenes and even recounting the scenes, I got annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like the main point that I want to leave you with this movie is that like it's a mystery, but like it
Tells you what-
it tells you all the secrets. It tells you all the twist reveals in like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
The
And then like what are we left with?
Yeah, the establishing scene where you're meant to be introduced to these characters, they don't tell you enough about them, and where it goes from there is very meandering until it gets to the actual poker game itself.
Yes.
But everything else, you're just getting privy to all the details that should be kept away from the audience until much later. And I like I was saying, I think Liam Hemsworth could have benefited as being like sort of the focal point character, but that's just
the only time that will ever happen
sure. Yeah.
in the history of film.
Yeah, that's the nicest thing I'll
You know
say
what?
about him.
Whatever. Maybe he will turn into a decent actor at some point. His big break recently is he's going to be The Witcher.
Which a lot of people are unhappy
Which a
about.
lot of people are not happy about.
Mm-hmm.
People are not happy with that casting. Swap. I haven't
Yeah.
seen that show yet, but like I can already tell you, I would probably prefer Henry Cavill to
Oh yeah,
Liam Hemsworth.
He's
on,
great.
on
He's
any day.
He's a fucking fan of the character. Man, Henry Cavill's had a rough go of it lately.
He
right?
hasn't had a great couple of. I mean,
Man, you know,
he's
his-
incredibly handsome and cut
charming.
And,
He'll be fine. I'm not so much
Yeah.
worried about him. But like, man, his Superman never got a break.
no.
The first outing was like pretty controversial. He has barely anything to do in Batman v Superman, and he dies in that movie. The third time he comes back, he's got like this weird CGI lip.
He has even less to do in the Justice League movies.
Yeah, and and his his send off was a post credits cameo for a sequel that'll never get made.
Yeah.
Like-
oh man, that's the biggest slap in the face.
Come on.
Is that all of this shit was happening while Black Adam was still fresh in our minds,
Mm-hmm.
and the only exciting thing about that terrible fucking movie was the promise that Henry Cavill Superman was going to come back and punch Dwayne Johnson at some point. That's something that we will not see happen.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I kind of feel too sorry for Henry Cavill because he's been Superman. He has those Sherlock Holmes movies with Millie Bobby Brown and everything like that. He was The Witcher. That's 3 fairly big franchises.
I think he's in a Guy Ritchie movie coming
He's
up.
in a Guy Ritchie movie coming out.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
What's that other Man from U.N.C.L.E.? So he's got like shit. You know, he doesn't need more. What was the thing? Oh, his sort of consolation prize for losing Superman and The Witcher in the same month is now he gets to
the
produce...
Warhammer.
Yeah, he gets to produce and star in Warhammer.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure makes someone happy out there, but like, it's a little bit of like a thing. But the only thing I know about Warhammer is that everyone wears armor that is like 5 times too big for their body.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much: I can see Henry Cavill wearing
He
that.
can fill out that armor
He
pretty
can fill
well.
out that armor pretty well. Yeah. I don't know why we transitioned into talking about Henry Cavill. This is, of course, an episode on the film Poker Face, directed by Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
That wraps up our look back on the Nothing movies of 2022. That was the year, right? Yes,
That was the year.
2022.
Yeah. Finally, we can move on.
Finally, we can move on
If
from
we can
that.
put 2022 to
Yes.
bed.
so
Did we learn anything about the last?
2022?
Yeah, about the movies.
Sometimes movies come out and people don't remember them.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, they're not that good.
Yeah, I think I learned that baffling decision making in films is not relegated to like the 80s and 90s.
Hell no.
That spirit is alive and well.
Yep. You can pick any calendar year and you can pick Nothing movies out of it. It happens every year. Every year, movies get made and a huge chunk of them just have no impact on the culture as a whole.
How inspiring.
But we're here, and that's what we cover on this podcast.
You're never going to get rid of
which
us.
is Nothing movies. And that's the end of this trilogy. Let's talk about the next trilogy that we got going on. So we're going to try to do things a little bit different this year in terms of how we kind of like structure these episodes. We have done 3 episodes in a row that are just Jameson and me talking about a theme that we're talking about. The next trilogy isn't going to be on one particular person. We have found that we love to have guests on this show.
Yep.
We have like a bunch of guests that we're planning on getting, past guests and new guests. It's going to be a really exciting year for that. We have found that when we try to kind of like morph the topic around the guest, it doesn't always work. Sometimes the guest doesn't have like any strong opinions on whatever actor we're talking about.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is the next 3 episodes are all going to be guest episodes, but we are going to leave the topic up to that particular guest.
Yeah.
So whatever guest we have on that episode, whatever actor we're talking about, whatever movie we're talking about, it's because that guest wants to talk about that specific actor. So we're going to do 3 guest episodes in a row, and then after those 3 episodes, we will probably go back to a more traditional trilogy where we pick an
particular
actor that
yeah.
one of us wants to talk about. Maybe those episodes will have guests.
Maybe.
Or maybe it'll just be the 2 of us and we just bust them out really quickly.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But coming up next, it's guest week, guest
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, guest
Probably.
choice. Yeah.
Guest's choice. That's what we'll call it. That sounds
Choice,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, until then, this has been Nothing Movies. If you enjoyed this episode, please visit our back catalog on Spotify and YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can check us out over on YouTube where Jameson adds all of these clips and other shit from the show. Yep, I'm really good at these endings. We'd like to thank Joel Flynn and
We
Luke
gotta
Schuss.
condense this for you poor guy.
I do it all by memory.
Yeah.
I just,
I
like
can tell,
to
and you-
love to point. I
Yeah.
do it all by memory.
You look like you had some truth serum as you're doing
Usually
it.
I do it with my eyes closed, and I was doing it with my eyes open, which is why I fucked up this time.
Yeah.
So the eyes are closed now. We'd like to thank
your eyes roll back into your head, and you levitate off the ground.
We'd like to thank Luke Schuss and Joel Flynn from the depths of hell. I don't know. Posthum Studios.
AKA the depths of hell.
That's where we
No,
are.
we love it here.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's fantastic. We're here right now. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for our fantastic theme music. And that's how do
you
we
can follow us on the social
yeah, all the
medias.
social medias.
Instagram, Facebook,
You think I know this
Twitter.
by now?
Yeah.
I got all punch drunky at the end. I don't know. None of this matters. I'm Kaz.
I'm Jameson. And also, Tugger's whistle's blowing.
Keep
Which
going.
means
Yeah.
we must be going.
going.
No more Russell crowing for you.
But now don't you start to whine. I'll see you again next time. 'Cause there's plenty of more fighting left to do. Making movies, making songs, and fighting round the world. See you next time, everybody.